morning, this is DIY Dave, and today we're going to have another project ready for you, but you know what? We're not going to touch a car. Today we're going to replace the LCD on a Dell Inspiron laptop. One of the most common things that can go wrong on a laptop is an LCD screen will fail. And you can hopefully take what we learned from this project and apply it to yours and save yourself a lot of money by doing it yourself. Hope you enjoy the video. So overall, what are we going to need as we plan to do this project? Well, in addition to the correct laptop screen, you're just going to need a few very basic tools. One, probably a screwdriver that has a Phillips and or an additional flathead to remove the screws that hold the existing LCD in the laptop case. And then probably some sort of flat prying tool like this little triangular tool that is actually came with a kit to replace a battery in a cell phone. You can wedge that in the gap and then use that to pop the bezel loose. Other than that, that's really all you need. Now again, any one laptop may be different. I can only give you the instructions and illustration for how we're going to do this one. You're going to have to check into how you might need to replace it on your laptop. So let's take a look first of all at what this guy does. Now here's a really good example of what this thing is doing and why we need to replace it. And one of the things that we've noticed is that if you press in on that bottom bezel, well, and as we've been diagnosing this, a lot of times pressing in on that bottom panel will keep this from happening quite so bad, which is right in the vicinity of the connector at the bottom of the screen. Notice that it seems to have stopped doing it. That tells me that something in the soldering or the connections of the screen to the rest of the computer has failed, probably at the connector. So replacing this should be a pretty simple fix. One of the most important parts of this process in repairing a laptop LCD screen is making sure you get the right one. And I want to go through the process of how we picked the replacement for this particular Inspiron. What I did is I took the Dell service tag off of the old Inspiron and plugged it into the service site that Dell makes available, and it gives me the as-built configuration of that laptop. Let me show you. I have a listing of the as-built configuration for that laptop, and what we did is we scroll down this list of parts that came with the original laptop and here we go, we find it right here, 15.6 inch full HD LED, and that gave us a part number of KWH3G, liquid crystal display, 15.6 inch full HD. That tells us the kind that we needed to find. I then plugged that into, I did a Google search, and I found this particular offering on Amazon.com. It was $63. They had this available. With installation if you want. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself. I did not price how much Dell would choose to do it, but it's an out-of-warranty unit, and they're going to probably have the highest price of anybody, and you'd probably have to send it to them to get it done. Any laptop manufacturer is probably going to have something similar, if not on a website with support configuration with the original paperwork that came with your laptop, would probably give you a parts list or make available a process where you could identify a part number corresponding to your particular laptop screen. It would always be best to have the exact original equipment manufacturer part number to use if you go looking up on a third-party parts site to make sure you get the right site, the right video display. The particular screen we found was about $65 off of Amazon, and they said it would take 4 days to get here. It actually got here in 2. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to crack open this box. Here is our screen. The connector, this is the back. Here's the connector, the bottom edge, and notice that that just happens to be in the area where I was suggesting before that when we push in that bottom bezel, it tends to stop or at least slow down the flaky behavior that we're seeing on the screen. That's why I think the connector something in here has failed, and that's why I think replacing it will take care of it. This is a really nice packaged replacement screen. It has a screen protector already on it. It's packed with some foam packing. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a good replacement for our laptop. I think it should fit just fine. So let's go ahead and see about getting the old screen off of the old laptop. On some laptops, the batteries are removable. Before you work on a laptop, if you have the option of removing the battery, I would encourage you to do so. Now, on this particular one and a lot of the newer laptops, you don't have the option of removing the battery. If you can't remove it without taking the whole thing apart, nothing you can do about it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this little prying tool and we're going to try to wedge this. Find this a wedge inside. And all we need to do, this bezel is just held in by some little friction snaps. There's no screws, nails, no hard connections. So all you need to do is gently find one of these areas to release. And I've already snapped this corner up, and the rest of it is snapping right out of place. No problem at all. There. Bezel removed. Here's where the connector goes on the back. We're going to take a look around to see if there are any other wires or cables that we need to be aware of as we're removing this other screen. I don't think there's going to be any difficulty, but we would just want to make aware of what we're looking at and make sure we don't knock anything loose. Here are cables that will run to the webcam that goes to the top of the laptop. We shouldn't affect that at all. We want to make sure that we're aware of it. We see other cables that are running down the side. Don't see anything on this side except what is running in the actual laptop itself. Part of the laptop that's not part of the screen. What we do see are screws. We see what appears to be a screw here, a screw there, one screw here, and one screw there. Remove those four and we'll see if that doesn't get us a good start. One of the things you can do to verify that you've got the right replacement laptop screen is to notice the location of the screw holes. And it just so happens that if you hold this screen up to the one that we're going to replace it with, the alignment holes are going to be a perfect match. So that reinforces the idea that we got the correct replacement laptop screen. So this should be a matter of nothing more than removing the four screws, pulling the old connector off, removing the screen, and then putting the new one in. Maybe a little difficult to tell, but each one of these screws is a simple small Phillips head. And in fact, the bit I have in here is almost certainly going to be too small. Excuse me, too large. And it is. So I'm going to get a smaller screwdriver, such as this one. Now, for only 4 screws, it's not such a critical deal, but one thing I would recommend that if you work on the inside of a laptop and you've torn down a few of these, you will come up with hundreds of little screws potentially. One of the things that's a really convenient tip is to get a small bathroom Dixie cup holder to hold the screws so you don't lose them, because when these things fall onto a hard surface, they will bounce everywhere and you'll never see them again. We're going to try to be careful with this and avoid that from happening. Done. So now we should be able to pry this up. Now I'm not particularly worried about this screen. We're going to replace it, so I don't care if I scratch it. So we're just going to put this thing down. There's the connector for the laptop. So here's the connector that we're going to have to remove. And unless I miss my guess, it looks like that thing has actually, the connection has actually come loose. So hopefully just replacing the laptop screen will fix this. And it's not the connector that goes back toward the video cable inside the laptop. Won't know that until we give it a try. Now notice that we are releasing a clip on the right side and a small clip on the left side. Maybe a little difficult to see, and it's very difficult to do this and video at the same time. There we go. Released. Now what we'll do, go ahead and get the new screen. Now what I will do here, because I want to protect this guy, we're going to head and take the packing foam that they gave us on the replacement screen, and we'll put this guy, the new one, face down in the same orientation as the original. Now the installation should be the reverse. Replace the connector, put it back in the frame, replace the screws, peel off the protective layer, and replace the bezel.
What I didn't realize right here was that the connector was actually broken on one side. The clip was actually loose, and I did not get a good connection. That connector is very fragile, so you need to exercise extreme caution as you're putting it back together.
This connector is actually a 40-pin header, and it's expecting to slide into this spot. And once you have it in, you then bring a small little handle. It kind of looks like a pail, a bail handle. Bring it across there and lock it into place. And that is not exactly obvious when it snaps in. Because it does not look like it is all the way in to me. Okay, that feels better. You get a small snap. You don't get a nice big affirmative click, but you at least get a sense that it has engaged. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% confident that that is as engaged as it needs to be. There we go. I think that's better. Reapply the tape that was holding it down. And what we'll do is, before we bolt all this back together, we'll set this in the screen. Just rest it here in the screen. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Okay, we took a break. We were having a little bit of difficulty with that very small connector on the back of the screen. First connected it, powered it up, and we were not getting any video, but we were getting from the front panel here on the front of the Inspiron a series of 7 white flashes and 2 amber flashes, and that was indication that the the video system wasn't being recognized and it wasn't booting. So I took a look and found out that the connection on the back was not sound. The little bail connector that I was using to secure it was really loose. So I took it off, reconnected it, cinched it up. It actually fit much better. There's no seam. It gaps. There was a small gap. There is no gap now. I've reassembled it. So now we can see if we can turn it back on and have power. So moment of truth. We've got it coming up. And what do we find? We have a screen. Look at that. This is successful, folks. All we have to do now is wait for this guy to come up. Well, of course, no good deed goes unpunished, as they say. We did this replacement in the middle of a Windows update cycle. So as we were cycling power to reboot the machine and verify the new screen was working, we got caught in a Windows update, and we've been stalled for about 20 minutes while it finished. But as you can tell, the machine is up, the screen looks great, it's working just fine. So what we're going to go ahead and do is turn it off, put it into position, and secure the screws, put the bezel back on, and call this project good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and kill the power. It's probably not purely necessary to kill the power. Just as a matter of course, I prefer to take the power off when I'm working on it. So all we need to do first is move this just enough to line up our connectors in the frame. Good. And now the last part is just to put the bezel back. And it should just snap right back into place. It's kind of like bubble wrap. When you pop bubble wrap, it's such a satisfying feeling. When you feel all these little things snap right back into place, you know you're doing the right thing. There. Go all the way around, make sure all of the snaps are secured. Nice and smooth and flat all the way around. Here we go. We've got screen working. Let it boot up. The only other thing we needed to do is to make sure that we were make sure the touch part of this screen worked. That was another part of the selection process that I neglected to mention, was that not only do you want to make sure that the replacement screen you purchase can match the resolution of what your laptop supports. If your particular laptop has touch screen support, you want to make sure that you get that, or that won't, or it may not work at all. There is a working laptop, and we have completed the repair. It took us about a half an hour or so, discounting the Windows Update effect. It's kind of silly. We did this for $65. Figure you saved about $185 to $200 over a shop repair. Well, that's going to wrap this up. We've got the laptop screen working, we verified the touch works, we've got good graphics, and I think we pretty much buttoned this up. You can apply the same thing to your repair. If you like the DIY videos that we put out, please feel free to subscribe. Leave your comments or suggestions in the comment box below. Let us know what you think. Any other kinds of DIY things that I'm willing to try, I'm more than happy to share. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a good afternoon. Bye, everybody.